Hello.
This is John and Tayler coming in from a channel we haven't decided on the name yet.
Well, we had a conversation about the name. I think you threw one right at me, and everybody seemed to like it that I asked. I was like, God, this name sucks. What do you think about it? And they're like, yeah, I get it. That's cool.
Which one?
That's cool. Kitchen sink.
Oh, you really do like that?
Yeah,
I
do.
Okay, cool.
I
Allie even said she liked that
I
one.
didn't really understand the reference at first, but I was speaking to Rhonda one day. When you texted it to me, I was actually sitting with Rhonda in the lunchroom at Freddy's.
God, you just can't leave that place.
No, I can't. I saw Jody today. Yeah, we had a long discussion about that.
Oh, sure.
So I was sitting with Rhonda just catching up, and then you'd messaged me, and then you're like, kitchen sink. And I was like, do you need me to run over and do the dishes real quick? I know you guys are super busy. And then you're like, no, it's a phrase, and it's great. And I read it, and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And I was like, I was telling Rhonda about the podcast that we were planning on doing, and I was like, she just proposed the name kitchen sink, and she's like, it probably has to do with that phrase of everything but the kitchen sink. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I knew you have no idea.
I genuinely have not heard that phrase.
Everything but the kitchen sink?
In context with me.
Like cooking, nothing?
No.
Oh, wow.
No, not at all. And so, like, 3 seconds later, you messaged me back explaining, like, it's everything but the kitchen sink. And I showed her. She's like, I knew it.
Yeah.
The same thing happened to Naomi, my wife. I told her about it, and this is the first one where she's like, oh, that's such a great name. I love using that phrase. And I was like, this is the first one that she's actually liked, and I've proposed a lot, and she's like, no, they all suck.
You both.
For the majority. No, she liked a few. But she was really into that one, and she's like, oh, it's probably that phrase. I was like, that's exactly what it is. I was like, oh, great. First two people I brought it up to seemed to like it.
So we have people's blessing on that, you think?
I think we got their blessing on the name.
Cool.
So what, because this was your original idea that we ultimately deciding with for the kitchen sink. How, you just came with it out of the blue when you texted me, from what it seems like. What were you doing at the time that it just kind of clicked?
I woke up.
I had a dream about it. I was washing the dishes.
No, I just woke up and I was like, okay, because it's going to be a lot of random crap, right? Might be garbage, might not be. But that saying everything but the kitchen sink has always been there, like as far as cooking or just topics in general. It's like, oh, that's perfect, because we're going to have like a bunch of random stuff that makes it's going to be like a Napoleon Dynamite podcast. Like there's no premise.
So like an original idea that I had was brain dump, to just completely empty everything that's left of our brain.
Yeah.
Once we left the job that was the home department.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, we have a lot of stuff to talk about, and it's nice because Allie's like, are you gonna like set up like a little sheet where topics? I'm like, no, it's me and John. We're fine. Talk about poop, and we're good for like 3 hours. Okay, yeah. 2 hours. Sorry.
3 hours if it's really bad.
Depending on if you're recently
if there's some tricks that I have to do in order to be successful with that session, it could turn into 3 hours.
Oh, easily.
I think that's the first time I ever not smoked a cigarette, too.
What?
Just one of those times when you were like, oh, I am so mad, I just need a cigarette right now.
Oh, yeah. That probably happened a lot more than you think, but...
I mean, with me, at least, there was just one time, and I can't recall exactly what it was, because we've complained a lot to each other about our lives. But it was just one day where you're like, oh, I need a cigarette.
Went up behind the trailer.
Like, do you want one? And I was like, sure, I'll take one. I'll be supportive. And it just sat there and burned. I think you're getting a call.
I am getting a call, but she knows we're also might be recording, so it's fine.
Well, hopefully she's doing okay and still alive by the time we get there.
Oh, crap. You missed it.
Yeah, anyway. I saw some advert come up.
It was news.
Oh, was it good news?
No, it looked bad as hell. It looked like people were like plowed by a car. Anyway, but yeah, I remember that night because it's like 3 a.m, and I was pissed about something, probably something did, and
man, we're already gonna call names out.
Yeah, for sure.
I was gonna say let's change the first name to like Blammy.
Depending on our audience, hopefully she doesn't find out about this. But
she barely uses a phone.
Yeah, that's true, but
she barely uses the Nokia that we have at work.
I shouldn't say damn. I was just kidding.
We'll edit that out to say Blammy.
Blammy. Pammy. But I remember you wrote on the back of the trailer like Lomas was here, and I showed him that the next time. I didn't tell him it was you, but I was like, what was this? And he's like, it seriously broke his brain because he had no idea who to blame. Because he was like, well, you're the only other one that goes back here to hang out, and I was like,
yeah,
you didn't put this, that? And he's just like, so it was like what, dust or something you just wrote on, like was your finger into the trailer.
Well, I tried my Sharpie at the time, but it was
too wet,
full of condensation that it just would not leak any ink on there.
Yeah, he just went like this, he just put like a finger mark through the like a line. I was like, oh, that's perfect, it cancels it out. Don't worry about it.
It says Lomas was here, but there's a line through it, so
he seriously was like not. he'd like sit there, he'd smoke, and then he'd stare at it, and then he'd, you know, he was just like, so his brain was broken. He's like, I don't know who to blame.
For those that are just listening to the audience, there was a big pause because she was gesturing at the ceiling.
Oh, right. Sorry, I'll try not to.
It's all right. I'll commentate the silence.
Thank you. I need to take a sip of this real quick.
Oh, we're already. Oh, I was about to say we're not already starting with ASMR.
I didn't.
I was about to. I just cracked mine open. I was going to bring it right up to the mic.
Okay, so a little bit about ourselves because I have no idea if we're going to split any of this up. But let's just cut to this. So, John, what do you do for a living?
I am an integration engineer for an e-prescribing company on the East Coast.
Okay, now explain it like I was a 5-year-old.
So my primary job is to take our e-prescribing products that it's a platform for doctors. And my job is to work with partners that are looking to integrate our software into their software because they're looking to find some kind of application to be able to prescribe from and integrate that into their system through the whole process of development that they have to do, which could roughly take from 2 to 3 months for each project.
Jesus.
Yeah. What's funny is one of my buddies that I came very close with since I started this new position had a partner that like almost did it in like overnight. Like they had the kickoff meeting and he got access to what code he needed to in order to integrate in a system. And like 2 days later, he reached out and he's like, hey, I want to go over everything. This is all set up and done and everything's looking good. And he came back. He's like, this has been the fastest integration I've ever seen in my life. And that project ended up, there's a few things that they didn't test that I was doing. It's kind of like a verification process that we have. So it's not just one integration engineer that's doing it, but there's a second one pulled in just as a second pair of eyes, like a non-bias for your project. And there was a few things that I found which took them a little bit longer, but yeah, it was one of the faster integrations. It took just under a month.
Nice, but yeah. Because of you, it went a little slower.
And because of me, it went a little slower, but because of me, we were able to find out what they didn't do.
Good job.
When you move too fast, you miss over some of the important things. Yeah. Take your time, folks. Take your time. Doesn't need to be fast.
Whatever, but you're doing really good at it. You've been doing it for how long?
I think so. I at least my reviews have been pretty good. You know?
The whole idea of this podcast was just to spout random stuff, get people that we know on here maybe, and do some deep dive interviews of kind of crazy topics, maybe some vulnerable ones, or maybe some if I die, this is what my family should see sort of thing. I don't know. Like just random crap. That's why it's called the kitchen sink. Like there's going to be no discriminating of any topic here except for political. Like if it gets too political or religious on personal beliefs, I don't.
Go Trump.
Oh, jeez. It's just we're gonna probably stay away from that. We can talk about it because free speech, and the whole point of free speech is to piss off people that are probably not gonna be, and that's kind of that's cool. However, don't push your stuff on this podcast.
Why do you think I have this off of my mic? There's no filter. I.
Oh my god. Okay.
Oh, you gotta appreciate it though.
That was good. Yeah. No filter.
Yeah. All right. So that's a little bit about me.
Mm-hmm.
How about yourself? What do you do for a living, Taylor?
What do I do?
Do you like your job?
I do. I'm still learning. But it was a big jump at the right time. I'm a firm believer in timing, so I went from management. That's how John and I met. Is we both worked in the same department at a Kroger store, and even though he got under my skin every single day and sending me emails of action required and this and that,
I did.
He drove me to leave management. No. No, not at all.
I've always been told to report things to my manager and not take them into my own hands. And when I do...
Yeah, he actually had to make us do our jobs, and that sucks.
Stop emailing me, John.
Yeah.
You've already told me.
John, can you just wait till I wake up, please? I just need you to give me 45 minutes.
Yeah, I call you at 3 a.m.
No, you'd be
Taylor, come back.
Waiting for me at right at midnight when I'm clocked in, and I go hide in electronics, go read my email, and I see a long ass email from you saying action required, and I was just like, I don't get migraines, but I was like, I just need a migraine right now just so I can
it's fine.
Focus on the pain.
It means it's working.
Anyway, yeah, it did a lot of good what I do now is I work in the pharmacy. I've worked there since oh my god. The day after Christmas is when I started officially in pharmacy.
Was that in 2021?
That's where I was like, oh my god, I can't math right now.
Yeah, 2021. It was just after I had left the company. Yeah.
Yep. I started the very day after Christmas on purpose. I purposely wanted to finish out Christmas and then leave. It was just the right time. Things were just not going well, and I had a lot going on, and I just needed something completely different. But I didn't want to screw myself over finding a new job, so a nice opening happened. So I went over and.
Well, I had to push you to do it. You were on the fence for so long.
God, so many people had to hear about it too.
What was the hesitation?
It was different. It was a completely different thing that I really never really thought I'd be in, but I needed something a little more meaningful because management was just sucking the life out of me.
Yeah.
The company, I didn't really agree with their leadership, and not just at store level, but company wide.
A lot of them, they push these values on you. And sorry, Kroger. They push these values on you, and then it's the management that they hire to make sure these values are set in their stores just don't enforce it. They put their own values and what their expectations is for the store.
We're triggering John right now. I can tell we're just going to get him going, but no.
I'll give a bit of insight from me actually leaving the company and my journey to where I am today, but I want to continue on where you're at right now. So, when you started pharmacy, how were the trials and tribulations of going through that whole onboarding process?
God, I was so stressed because I was comfortable where I was at, right? I went into something where it was basically a new language, learning pharmacology, and I had to math again. I hate math. And I wasn't in charge of anybody. So I was the lowest person, and it humbled me a lot. And I took it, when anybody would want to correct me or tell me how to do things. I just, and I'm good with taking criticism and learning and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, but it was humbling to just sit back and, when someone was mistreating somebody, I couldn't just handle it on the spot like I normally would. Mm-hmm. I had to go to The hierarchy. Go through the hierarchy. I'm like,
I
wow.
had to go tell somebody.
Yeah, I had to go narc on somebody. But, it's just like things that I normally would act on, I couldn't anymore.
There's got to be a fine line between narking and actually reporting that there's an issue at hand.
I don't know. Every time I get involved, though, in something, it blows up, okay? People leave the job.
You think there's a connection.
I know, there's a common denominator, I swear, but I have the worst timing. And when Taylor gets involved, like, shit does happen. Stuff gets done.
I send those emails until
no
they're
emails.
Tired of receiving them.
I just straight up talk. I'm real, okay? I talk to people, and
but you're also in a position where you work with your manager. I worked overnight and never saw my manager.
Okay, but you worked with me.
Right, so I had her send an email.
Okay, but still, you still worked with me, and we dealt with issues, okay, sir? Don't act like I didn't ever deal with your problems.
I didn't never.
Okay, Mr. I wash my clothes.
Wash?
I don't know, you say a lot of weird country stuff.
What are you saying?
Not
even the country says wash.
You wait, y'all. He's gonna start saying some weird honky-tonk stuff. You definitely aren't from Washington.
Y'all just wait for it.
Yeah, he just bought a Buick, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Betsy with 2 T's.
That's something I wanted to touch base as well today, to talk about my new thing that I can't afford.
Do you have a picture of it? Yeah, you do. Because
I sent you it.
We'll have to somehow upload pictures as we're like,
Oh yeah, we could edit the video to slap something up.
Let me just.
Somebody will.
Speaking of slap, did you know that's a slang term that kids use these days?
Oh, like that slap?
Yes, that slaps. Like that music that slaps. That food slaps. It's like what?
I've been hearing fire lately. Like, oh, that's fire. Which I feel like that was a term that was used before it fell out and then it's rebirthed.
A lot of stuff like that happens with fashion.
I have a 13-year-old cousin nephew.
Here we go. Sister cousin. We'll touch base on that another time.
Hey, it's
real life, people.
We'll touch base on that, but it's not as weird as you think.
It's not his fault.
So I have a cousin nephew who is 13, and because I'm going to the gym more often with my brother, he doesn't have a big male influence in his life. So we just started inviting him with us because he's having some troubles at school and getting into fights, and it's normally him against like 2 or 3 others because people can't fight on their own anymore. So we've been taking him to the gym, and he'll start using all this slang that now I'm learning that I don't want to.
Oh my God.
And one of them is slaps and fire.
Slaps and fire. We're gonna have to come up with our own.
Oh, we did. We came up with Gucci.
No, that's definitely
like that's Gucci.
Yeah, no, that's the thing with already. It's just
come up with something new. Oh, right, to just turn the tables of whatever generation this is called.
I don't know if we're gonna be so good at it, but whatever.
It's all right. I'm sure we'll come up with something that will stick for the 4 or 5 people. I think our goal is 5 subscribers. We'll probably hit that. Maybe.
My goal is 500.
Whoa.
500. We can do it.
Man,
we can do it.
Are ambitious.
We already know so many people, and if we tell people like, "Hey, tune in," we'll probably do a shout out for you.
But then we would still need them to follow. They listen to 5 minutes and we're talking about poop. They're gonna be like,
I'm really proud of us for not bringing it up until now. Really, we haven't actually talked about poop.
I broke that seal, didn't I?
We don't want you breaking any seals. I did clean that bathroom, so you are good to go. I installed that bidet on there.
Glad.
Sometimes my roommate only uses the bidet, and I told him, absolutely not. You still got to clean yourself. That's not a full-on bidet. It's just a sprayer, bro. It doesn't do nothing for you. It just helps get all that extra remnants out.
It just helps.
It just helps.
It's an extra tool.
It's there to take the burn out of the sting,
But hey, sponsor us.
Yeah. Oh, for real. Yeah, I use Tushy.
We'll put them on the chair right now.
Yeah, I'll put the link below.
I'll just say air pressed it for fun. Right. So back to the pharmacy. Yeah. So you started in, and whenever you had to report something, you were just a little peon. You had to go talk to a higher manager.
No, it wasn't necessarily. There was only one instance where I had to put my foot down and be like, okay, this is wrong. And yeah, maybe I was a little biased because it was over a friend of mine. from home that also went over there a year before me. But it was two people, actually. Sorry, two people. So there was a victim, and then there was the antagonizer. And the antagonizer happened to also be of different color, race, religion, all that. So I was like, but how he was treating her was definitely wrong, because he would go out of his way. Like if she was on one register, because there's 3 of them up front, and if she was on an outer one, he would go to the opposite outer one, or he would just purposely go out of his way to get away from her, like almost like she had a disease. Like it was like so intentional.
Was there just any tension?
Yes, there was tension.
That brought it up.
So I got there after everybody. No, and I think it was especially once I got over there, because this person also worked under me. So when I got over there, he knew that I'm on the bottom of the totem pole now. So it's like he wasn't afraid of me. But there was a lot of tension. Nobody really understood him because he was so quiet and tense and would always micromanage other people. And he was the kind of person that actually was a narc. He would go on writing emails to our managers saying and CCing like the HR really and the coordinator. You would never do that. And you would die because you don't go above your manager's head on like one little issue and then CC all of his bosses. That's extreme.
Kind of shitty.
And, but he had a point. Now, after all said and done, he quit, or he transferred to a different store.
I still see him. If it's who I think you're talking about, I still see him from time to time. He goes to the same gym that I do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's around. He's got a job though in his field of
expertise,
profession, whatever. Because he was actually working on his degree while he was working. Okay. So long story short, he's doing his own thing now. He's out of the company.
That was the one time you had to come in and step your foot down.
I did, because it actually spiraled out of control. Like coincidentally, I closed with the manager. I pulled him aside after work. I said, hey, I really love what's going on with this team. You're one of the best managers. However, I don't think you're seeing the whole picture over here. We work really closely together, but I don't see that you're seeing what everyone else sees. And this person that's the victim isn't going to come to you and say anything. So I'm going to come to you and let you know, be aware of how his non-verbal body language is treating her. Mm-hmm. But he would come in with prizes or treats for people, hand it out to everyone, and then not her. Like he would, wow. Yeah, it was like so junior high, so stupid. Here, I'll share my lunch with you, except for you. No go-gurt for you. So yeah, it was like stuff like that. So he left, the main assistant left, and then also made lies about me because she knew that I went to Alex about said person.
Trellix.
Well, that's fine. Whatever, dude. I don't care. We're gonna have to bleep the shit out of this thing.
Her name's not really Taylor.
Yeah.
It's Jailer.
Anyway, I went to the manager, and things kind of fell apart at that point. It kind of blew up because I was like, this person's being mistreated, and we're a good team, so I don't understand what the animosity's for. So that person went away. The assistant manager thought I was also part of the problem, and they called us racist. And I was just like,
That's a... Management called you racist?
She got involved in his business when she had no reason to. Like, she worked for the company for 14 years and just quit.
That is pretty strong, just to call somebody out on something that you weren't really involved in.
Yeah, they were saying I was discriminating, and we were antagonizing him to make him lash out at her. And I was like, what? It was like all this stuff where I'm like, first of all, you are also of that same race, and you're going against it, and you're also not seeing how he's treating everybody else. Like, he's tense. He doesn't do anything for anybody else. Like, he's just here. He's dependable. He doesn't let things bother him. However,
That's a plus to add.
Yeah, I'll say that. I mean, he was dependable. He only worked 2 days a week, but he was just a dick. Yeah. Big dick. So there was that instance, and then there was that other instance that I don't think I can talk about just yet because it's still too fresh. But when Taylor gets involved, man,
shit gets on fire.
You better
fiery poops. Everybody gets them.
I walked into a bunch of drama in pharmacy, dude.
I feel like you walked in with a match, and then you were just like...
I'm also at a point where in my life where I'm just like... Burns. I don't want the wrong person to get rewarded.
I agree. I try to. It's that like so many people, especially in that kind of work environment, that go above and beyond what they're expected to. It's retail. There's not a lot of expectation that comes with a job, but you're forced to do more than you're being paid for. But there's just no recognition. They just get, oh, great, cool. You're doing Joe's and Kelly's work.
Here
Good
we
job.
go. Here
Kelly,
goes
what are you
John.
doing?
We've lost him.
You walking walking around with Momus all day?
Oh.
Smoking cigarettes outside the 7-Eleven during your lunch, huh?
There was no lunch. It was just 100% break the whole time with a couple calls in between.
Pretty much. It's like, oh, I gotta help this person load a couch. George, can you please go load a couch? That's about as much work.
I don't even think there was a please usually.
There wasn't a what?
Sorry, I was just seeing the time. News time.
Yeah, I was about to say time news.
Yeah, sorry.
That's good. That's good. Well, so having to deal with that issue of having to put your foot down, even though you're outside of that managerial position. Managerial.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How's your position now? You've gone through your schooling. You finished that up, and you've got an official title now.
I'm officially a certified pharmacy technician.
Hey, right.
I know.
Oh.
I just ordered myself name tags. Thank you very much. Oh. So now when I go in, there's.
Do you know what you're doing? Do you see the word certified?
Actually, it probably doesn't even say that. It just says like CPHT or something stupid. Yeah. SIFT. I'll just say SIFT.
Yeah, I've got SIFT.
Sup, SIFT. Taylor. Who's your daddy?
SIFT.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it. It's cool. Finally got certified. Took Washington State 3 months to get my license validated, even though they took all my money back in January.
The first day, yeah.
You know, like, so I everything was 100% done on January 26th, which was also my nephew's birthday. So that's why I'll remember that forever. That was the day that I passed all my exams, state.
Damn you, Jeffy.
What?
I don't know. Your nephew's your first name?
Liam. Liam?
Liam. Oh, your brother's new baby?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Liam. So yeah.
Sham?
Changed the identity of the baby. No, so everything was done then, and I mailed everything out like online and by mail. They make you actually mail it in, but there's also online you can send your application. I'm going to tell you that. You should see my emails. You would be so proud of me for how much I had thorough information, and they just email back with one sentence saying, oh, well, it's actually up for a final review and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, it'd be really nice if you communicated anything with me.
You could tell me that I wrote it to you very nicely.
Yeah. Well,
Jeez.
It got hung up because of this form that when you pass the state exam or Fred Meyer exam, Kroger, whatever, the Board of Pharmacy for Kroger sends you this form that they have to handwrite and fill out, send it to you, and then you send all of your stuff together compiled with this piece of paper, sign it, all of your personal data, mail it. I got stamps and everything, sent it off. Okay, didn't receive it, sent another copy of all of it. And I was like, okay, sent it in, and the director's credentials weren't like valid, or they weren't to the right format. Well, it got hung up for like 2 months before I started losing my stuff. Sorry. I did. I'm mad. So I contacted the Department of Health and out of Olympia, and I got 2 different people to help me, and it was stupid. And they were just like, oh yeah, we're still working on it. We've been in contact with your Fred Meyer pharmacy, and we're working on it, just in the order of when we got it. And I was like, but you've been working on this for months. Why is mine not prioritized? It's been almost 3 months now.
I was told it's in review.
Yeah, and they're like, well, it has to go to
reviewing it. That's in queue.
It went through, if I looked correctly, it went through final review 3 different times.
They got to make sure you're certified.
I know, because once they give it back, or give it to me, there's no taking it back. Yeah. So anyway, long story short, Washington State sucks. They don't communicate very well, and it took 3 months. And yep.
But now you're certified.
I am certified after all this. I'm getting hot and mad.
Here she goes.
Yeah.
So what does that allow you to do now compared to what you were doing since you started?
Oh, I've been doing the job this whole time, not getting paid.
Or paid.
Yeah, it was a $6 difference.
Pay came with the certification.
Yes, it's been so recent that I finally got certified, and now. Oh, so that was another thing that pissed me off. I don't get any retro pay for doing the job of a technician this whole time. No one told me that it would take.
Yeah, you had to assume.
No one told me how long this would actually take. I was assuming I'd get retro pay, right? No, and I'm like, okay, so I haven't really been pushing the subject. So when they finally told me, okay, you're finally accepted as of the 24th of April, I was like, cool. I thought my pay would just kind of start then, or the clock would start ticking then. No. They're like, no, it doesn't go into effect until the following Sunday. That's when all payroll changes. It's on Sunday. So I was like, so they got back to me on a Monday. So you're telling me the following Sunday is when my pay starts? So I got accepted on the 24th of Monday.
Called out of work that whole week.
That's why I told the pharmacist. I'm like, why am I even here? I'm not getting any retro pay for this. Even the last 3 months I've been doing the job that I've been certified to do. I was like, because you guys expect me to do that job, right? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, then why am I even here? Which I'm wishy-washy anyway with work.
I wasn't going to say anything, but
shut up. I have been missing a lot of work anyway for my own mental health.
And sometimes that's really needed.
Oh, they don't care. They don't understand. It's still a company.
I used to work there.
Yeah, dude.
I'm fully aware.
Yeah, but I've been taking care of myself more. So pharmacies definitely thinks I'm like of the department. You know what I mean? Because I don't call out. I get permission. I'm like, hey, if there's enough coverage, can I take today off, take a personal day or a vacation day? Mm-hmm. But they don't see it as that.
Are we talking about the same person in the home department?
So that's how they see me, as that person.
Gotcha.
So, but they don't understand. I don't call out. I ask for permission. Like, hey, is it all right if I take, the next 2 days off? And they do that, but no one else knows that. And I continue to tell them, I'm like, I get permission. I don't call out. Calling out is like, I'm going to poop my pants. There's no way I'm coming in. That's not me. I don't.
Oh, there's been a few times where I'm like, I'm sitting on the toilet right now as I'm calling you.
Dude, I remember one time you called out like 2-3 days. Because we had the same schedule. So whenever you were like off extra, I was like,
I could never get away with
damn it. Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to talk to at lunch.
Oh, I know. But I remember one time you were like called out sick with the flu, and you texted me, you're like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to be here tonight. I'm sick with the flu. I was like, all right, whatever. But you were like gone 2 extra days. And I was like, wow, you must be like really sick. And you came back and you were just like, that bathroom.
We had to install a new toilet.
We had to clear out the neighborhood.
I don't recall that specifically because it's happened
so many times. Yeah. No, I remember coming around the toy, taking the back aisle of apparel, and you were walking towards me, and your legs were you're like, I can't laugh too much because like
I'm fast walking.
You're like, I'm clenching as we speak. In fact, I actually just came from the bathroom, and you were walking with your legs really kind of tight. I could tell. Yeah. I could tell. I was like, you're not on the catwalk, so I know you're trying to keep something in there. But yeah, no, I don't know how we got to that.
Yeah, it always comes back to poop. I tell you, we should have just called it the kitchen poop. Somebody walks in the kitchen, just finds it randomly on the floor there.
We'll probably change our name a couple times. Who knows? But I think kitchen sink is probably the most
kitchen
appropriate.
Sink seems like a really good name.
Okay.
I genuinely like it. There's a few questionable ones from like, how does this relate to us? But kitchen sink, I like it. It really fits our get-go. And sorry for everybody else that has the name, but we're using it.
We're using it, and we're going to take off. We are going to annihilate you guys.
Oh, yeah. We've got some artwork designing for it. You said she was making...
We need websites. We're going to get t-shirts.
Yeah, I can get a website going for it. It's gonna have to have like a long name because I'm sure the kitchen sink has already won. TJ, the kitchen sink with TJ.
Yeah, we'll brainstorm that one later, but yeah,
we'll figure it out.
We'll get a website. We'll get swag. We're gonna get what else?
A website and swag.
We're gonna get theme song. We're gonna get like a shoot. What else is there? You're like, we have to do so much.
So definitely something I want to do on here as well is once we get some people that actually listen to it. I'd like to do some Q&A.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, we can come up with as many questions as we want, but to really just have those genuine brainstorming sessions and just questions that we wouldn't really think about asking each other. I want to have that open for room. So we're going to have an email. We'll probably put it on the next recording that we do, just so things could be emailed in for questions that you guys may have about us personally, if you know us or get to know us.
We're two people you probably wouldn't like knowing in our work life. Like a lot of people are surprised you and I are like friends, and we're like, and it's like perfect.
I was talking to Bloody the other day. Oh, that's a horrible name.
Oh my god. Floaty.
Replace that with Floaty. Thank you. Just a deep dark Floaty. We'll replace that word. I was talking to them today, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go over and we're gonna do our podcast." And she's like, "Podcast? Really?" Like she
knows what that is.
Well, I haven't really seen her since I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. A fun fact. And she's like, "Oh, welcome to the club." And
she's new at it too. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it was about a year ago, and she was telling me about her upcoming from it and her doctor, which she mimicked how they spoke. I was like, "Joe, you could just talk to me. It's okay." Floaty.
Yeah, Bodie.
Man, we gotta get you a Bodie.
Yeah, she got a Bodie on her.
Bodie.
Oh shoot! Oh, died?
No, it's still running. It's just idle.
Oh, okay.
It's fine. Yeah, don't freak out. It's okay. I guess that's a bit about. I was going to talk about my upcoming from work. Yeah, we'll do that. So Taylor and I worked over in the home department. She was the manager over there of me, but I'd never listened. It wasn't worth listening.
In fact, he told me how to do my job on many occasions.
Will you stop sitting on the couch there and get up and actually do stuff?
No, you'd always like, even before that, you're like, okay, so any word on the things that I brought up, like 5 months ago, and I'm still checking in?
That's following up on things that I brought to your attention.
You're very consistent and persistent.
I'm very punctual. I'd like to think
No, you were not punctual. That was...
fine line between
punctual is being on time. You're consistent, persistent, and pushy. Yes, and bossy.
I can't believe this.
Offered you a job to be in charge. You said no, and then
here's how that went. Hey, John, do you want a job to where you're in charge, but we're not going to pay you anything extra? Actually, we're going to take money away from you from the position that you're in now to do it.
That was not true. First part's true. Second part, I wasn't going to take money away from you.
What do you mean?
You were going to be guaranteed full-time 40 still, have guaranteed days off.
And the position was a 50-cent pay cut. What do you mean?
There was nothing I could do about it. There was nothing I could do.
Right, but there was nothing you could offer me. And so how could I take a job?
No, but you could get away with telling me how to do her life, and you didn't take it. Damn it. Yes. Damn you.
I could already do that anyways.
You got in so much trouble all the time because you two couldn't handle dealing with it because you're just like, I need to just be in my department and do not let her come over here.
She would either listen to me or not, but if she was working in my department, she was listening to me. If she couldn't listen to me, she could get the fuck out. I don't care. I did not need her help.
Well, then I had to hear it.
Yeah, it's fine.
And I had nothing to do. There was nothing I could do because you had to work together. You weren't her boss.
When she was in my department, I was. Absolutely. That I'm leading the department. I lead the people that work in my department. That was the job. Like in the description, it said direct associates on X, Y, and Z.
It needs to say willing in there. Willing associates, because she was not willing to listen to your shit.
But that's not my problem. And when it started to become my problem, it needed to go.
Do you hear about anything that goes on in home department?
Oh, let me tell you.
I don't want to know.
I don't want to know. I just met up with Shauna Katrina. I don't know. A good way to.
Shauna's good.
Shauna Katrina. No. Who's now the new lead over there in toys.
You're going to have to just tell me names because I'm not going to know what the fuck you're talking about. Oh, wow, you're way off. Anyway.
Yeah, I told you that
the new lead in toys.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know who clearly. And I apparently Blammy is completely banished from that department over there.
Banished. Damn.
Shauna Katrina, that's her name.
Yeah,
that's
Shauna Katrina.
Shauna Katrina was like, yeah, like Blammy would just come over here and over my days off just think she could just do everything she wanted. And I got sick of it. So I went to Meryl and said, look, Meryl, I do not want Blammy in my department. She does not listen to me. And apparently Meryl is all up for Blammy. She's the biggest fan. And there's some tiff between Shauna Katrina and Meryl
Streep.
So I'll just kind of wrap it up. She's been banished from that side of the store, and there's constant headbutting. But I think they're going to be looking for a new position here soon.
Like outside of Fred Meyer?
Yeah.
I mean, that person's always been saying that, so I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, but after recent conversation, I think there's some wheels that are rolling.
I don't know if anyone can accommodate her, though, because she's got a lot of things going on.
But there are some jobs for that, which we can talk a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
So just to kind of go on my build up with the new job. So I had a friend that we were online friends together, gaming, and there was one day that I was just complaining about just not being able to find a job in my field. You know, ever since I got my bachelor's, I've always had people come up and be like, oh, you're not doing anything with it. Like you go to school, you spend all this money for it, and you're just still doing the same job. It's like, I want you to try to find something like that and get in. You know, I have a bachelor's in software development, and I live near the Seattle area, and even trying to find a job there, it's hard to get a job if you don't have experience, because they don't want to give you the job because you don't have experience, and that cycle goes on and on. So I could apply. I could get past the first interviews, get past the second interviews, and when it comes down to the final, they go with somebody with more experience. Even with a fresh mind out of college, and it's everybody can relate. If nobody can relate, then you're lying. And so I was just complaining one day, and she's like, you know, I've got like a phone rep position at the place that I work. If it's not really development, but it's a foot in the door, and I can put a referral in for you. Mind you, she totally just went out for me. At that point, we'd never really met in person, but we've known each other for years. And she really stuck her neck out for me without really knowing any of my work ethic. And that's going to happen because it's not plugged in. So I was like, great, yeah. So I had applied in 2021 in June, and she was like, yeah, they're going to call you. You're going to have an interview. Great. And so I had my interview, and she started off, HR started off talking to me as if like coming into office and stuff like that. And I was like, I just want to make it aware, as it states on my application, I live in Washington, and they're all the way on the East Coast. And she's like, oh, okay. Let me get back to you on that. And the interview just kind of stopped.
I remember that.
So I was like, all right. And so apparently there was talk about doing remote because of like COVID that's been going on, but ultimately they just hadn't decided on remote work. So she got back saying, and there's like some stipulations, like if you're really good enough, they'll be like, yeah, we're gonna do the remote with him, but otherwise it was in office. And so ultimately I got an email back saying you're overqualified, pretty much, like you didn't get the job. And then when my friend reached out, they're like, yeah, he's overqualified, he's just gonna leave the position. And she's like, that's not an excuse at all. And so then they came up with the other excuse of, well, we are not accepting remote right now. And I was just, fine, whatever. Which I didn't really want to do phone stuff anyways. So a few months later in September, she had reached back out to me and she's like, hey, are you still interested in that position? And I was like, are they finally doing remote now? Because that's the only way. I'm not moving there. And she's like, yeah, they finally came up to the decision that they need to do remote if they're going to have people, because people just don't want to work in office. So I was like, great. So finally went through the interview process, and it took, now mind you, this started like September 15th, and my hire date, first day, wasn't until November 15th. So it took like a 2-month thing to go through interviews, get it all set up, and then go into their onboarding classes. But from there, I was told, because I asked about the moving position, and they were promoting it too. They were like, we really thrive on getting people in a position to where they're happy, and there's tier 1, not everybody's going to stay there, and we want to promote people moving up in the company. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, what's the kind of steps? And they're like, well, you're going to start on tier 1. You're going to, which is basically answering phones. So, hey, how can we help you? Or working on tickets that get submitted through our ticketing system. Mm. And I was like, all right. And they're like, about 6 months afterwards, depending on your performance, you would be moved to a senior position, which would come with a pay bump and, just a status that shows that you're very knowledgeable in the position that you're at. But you're still kind of doing the same job. And it's like, all right. And then they said, after a year, we have a tier 2 position that deals with more escalated cases and directly with partners that you can move to typically after a year. I was like, all right, great. So I figured, if I was to move anywhere substantial, it'd probably take about a year. Through 4 months, I moved to tier 2, which it typically estimated at about a year. Now, during those 4 months, from the beginning that I was at until the mark that I actually moved to tier 2, I was just kicking ass.
Well, I mean, if you're overly qualified, you better.
Well, I mean, it was just answering the phone and solving their problems. Like they're calling for password resets.
Did you have like a little Bluetooth in your ear, like when you're like sleeping? You're like, just click. How can I help you? Like you do this stuff in your sleep.
I could. Okay, fair enough. But no, because they are on the East Coast, my work days were like 6 to 3. So I got off pretty early to be able to actually spend my day doing stuff. So it was really nice. And so it happened so quickly. I had a manager that just really was proud and happy of me, from the interview to like where I was at. And the person that referred me was highly seen in the company. So I had nervously enough, I had a high expectation that I was great. Mm-hmm. Because somebody that was great already in the company referred me.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I got this huge level that I've got to meet now.
Right.
And I met it. It was
good.
And so I genuinely did not think I was going to get this position. And it opened up, and I was referred to apply. They were like, do it.
Nice.
You get off the phones. You're not on phones anymore. And you're just doing escalated ticket issues.
You're like, perfect. I don't even need a pay bump for that.
I got a pay bump. Oh, it was like a 22% pay bump. It was great. Oh, bloody brilliant. It was the bee's knees. And so I applied for this position, and we did the interview, and I was pretty much went in with the mentality of the worst they can tell me is no. You did not get chosen for the position. You don't have enough experience in the position that you're at. Mm-hmm. But during that 4 months, not only was I doing my job, but on weeks that I was not on the phones actively, I was working with my development skills to improve the tools that I use from day to day. So I developed a new tool that was really easy to help with certain issues, and it's a collective tool that everybody could have on their system and use successfully. And that was like, put me right there. It's like, he is valuable.
Because you're using a tool that everyone can use. You're saving time, being essential, efficient.
It's turning all those tedious processes into one space. And they were like, let's go. And so they spoke very highly of me, I assume, to the tier 2 manager. And she was just like, yeah, I want him. He's great. Let's do it. And I was told this too. I am the only person that has ever moved that quick in the company. Like, not even the person that referred me.
Boom.
And that was like, I am doing
Get really it, John. Good. Heck yeah.
And so I started that position, and then another 4 months later, I got a message from the integration team from the company. One of their integration engineers reached out. He said, hey, I haven't told anybody yet, but I'm leaving, and like, we've worked together on different issues. And he's like, out of everybody on tier 2, I think you would be the best for this position. So I want you to apply.
Wow.
I didn't even think about it. I didn't really even know about it. Like, I just knew that some issues that we had to go to that team. I would just forward them the issue. That was it. That's all I had ever touched on it. And so I had that interview, and I just fucking kicked ass. I was told there was like 7 people that applied, multiple that were internal, and I got the job. Yeah. I genuinely didn't think I was going to get the job either, because I'd only been in that position, like 2 different positions, only 4 months. But it was like my development skill that I was able to bring to the team that just really just shined.
Blew them away.
God, they were blown so hard.
God. So what tier are you on now? Like every 4 months you're moving up?
Tier 76.
Jeez.
Don't you know?
Your dad told me the first time you moved up tiers. That was so funny.
Man, he never tells me he's proud. He tells everybody
else.
Oh,
yeah. No, he's very proud of you. Because when I was like, oh, yeah, you're John's dad. I was like, yeah, I worked with John. He's like, oh, he's not working here anymore. I was like, I know.
Yeah, I know.
We're
I'm friends with him.
We're friends, yeah.
I not only worked with him, I'm also friends.
Yeah, it's all good, whatever. I was just like, yo, really?
Yeah, no shit.
I should have acted like, what?
No. He didn't even tell me.
John Campbell. John
Oh, so
Campbell.
Now we're saying last names.
Shit.
Oh.
Campbelloni.
Ramble.
God damn it. We're going to have to censor
Ramble.
so much.
John Red Bull. Not a sponsor.
Anyway, I suck. We're definitely going to have to get a soundboard.
It's alright. They're going to know our last names sooner or later.
Yeah, probably.
But, yeah, that's fine. And so I finally moved into that position.
Mm-hmm.
I started September of 2022, and I've been in it since. I'm looking at a position. So it's not a department move. I'm not moving from like tier 1 to tier 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm staying in integration services, but I'm moving positions in there. So right now I'm technically an associate integration engineer. So it's kind of one of those like entry level title things, like, oh, you're a brand new integration engineer. So I'm working with my team, my leads to speak on my behalf to move me into having an official integration engineer title. And we're just kind of waiting to hear back on that. But that comes with a pay bump.
Boom, pay a bump, which is why you got new Betsy.
So we're going to move to tier 78. Yeah, which brings me, which we could talk on the next episode for it. But surprisingly enough, moving from 4 jobs to 1 job, with that 1 job, I could afford a new car. My 97 Buick is retiring. She is.
You used her to her full potential.
And
some.
She was amazing. She got me to the East Coast and back. She's been with me since 2014. It's been almost 10 years.
Had some good times in that car, I know.
Oh.
I miss seeing your She would come in there screaming.
Listen to Smokey Robinson on the radio.
Coming in, I could tell when you were running late,
You hear the little drift in there.
Yeah, I just see you just hauling, and you're like leaning back in your car, and you're like, just coming in.
It's that 97 Buick LeSabre. Look it up it's an old man car.
Oh, it's exactly what John's car should be.
I was fine with the look. I would have been happy with my new car. I got a 2023 this year. I've been upgrading all my electronics. I went from an iPhone SE first generation to the latest
newest one,
Pro Max.
Gosh, I'm still on.
Not as impressed. With it, but it's fine. It's fine.
Apple do better.
Apple do better. Sponsor us.
I know, it's like I'm using a new.
I got this new iPhone 14 Pro Max. Look at this camera; it's brilliant.
We're using a MacBook Air.
Ouch.
What else we got? I need to get Apple TV.
Apple Pods.
Oh, I don't know about that. I've been looking at that, but I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about. I really want to get some noise canceling earbuds, but Sony has the best, and they're
get Raycons.
I know.
Sponsor us. I've bought myself a pair from a sponsor that I watch, and they're amazing. They got great noise canceling. We're not going to do that. Sponsor us. We'll talk about you.
For real.
Yeah.
The Raycons really are good.
Be a sponsor. Yeah, they're pretty good.
Interesting. Yeah, because you don't know, because people sponsor so many different products out there. It's like, okay, stop gargling their balls. I want something that's actually good, and I don't want just a sale 10% off, whatever. It's like, is it going to actually be good?
Yeah.
And I am I might not look the part, but I like to spend money when it's something that's going to actually...
Yeah, invest in what you're going to utilize.
Yes. I think it's really important that I spend money on experiences and good quality stuff without saying too many curses.
This car has air conditioning.
Shut up.
Yeah,
dude.
it's great.
Get out of here.
It's
no
sad
moonroof.
That it happened after I dumped money to fix the air conditioning in the 97, but...
you should have bought my old Volvo. I'm sure it was still for sale.
Oh, no.
What?
No, I saw your advert for it. You posted it up there, and I was like...
Yeah, Enum Claw was lowballing it. I was like, this is so affordable now for somebody else. It's affordable for me. I should just go rebuy it. No, I'm just kidding. Because I spent so much money when I got divorced and we sold the house. I used $28,000 of it, of what we made separately.
Did you buy it right out?
No, still didn't. I still owed $6,000, $8,000. No, $6,000 left on it. Still didn't own it.
Did that get added on to the new one?
So my trade-in value was pretty good, but I'm still looking at
How much was your trade-in?
20.
Really?
For the Volvo? Yeah. I mean, that was lower than what I was expecting. They were selling it for 26, 27. Yeah. I mean, they made a little bit of money off of it. Hopefully someone bought it by now, but...
What year was it?
2016.
Okay.
It was my dream car. It had everything.
Really?
However, yeah. It was so much a part of my past, though, that I needed to also make a change.
That's kind of, if I could add on to that, that's kind of how my wife has been.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife and her past relationship and the situation that she was in, we've brought, she's English, and so she's now living in the States. We're going through that whole process. But she had so much stuff that we had to bring it all with her.
Mm-hmm.
And it just has so much of a connection with her past that the last few months, it's just been a huge purge.
Good.
And it's been relieving her of so much stress, so much anxiety that just was tied to that stuff, that just getting something new and being able to just feel like I'm starting a new life. This is a new direction. Is that how that trade-in of the vehicle just really popped out at you?
Yeah, it was actually... So my grandmother was my everything, right? We all have that somebody, and they passed away before I can even get my driver's license.
That was my grandma too.
Well, and she drove the same car you had, so that's why when I saw her, I was like, oh, that's weird.
Really?
A LeSabre?
Yeah.
Yeah. She had that year, but also in red, but she also had a newer one. Anyway, long story short, though, I thought that was kind of a weird tie-in with you and her. But no,
she was reborn.
She was kind of reborn, yeah.
Through me.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Is that why we're friends?
No.
Do you see me
I do see a lot of her in Allie, though, and I think that's kind of funny. not in a weird way, but
Sure.
like not like an Oedipus complex,
qualities.
but like I just see a lot of my grandmother and her genuineness, her outspokenness, and anyway, so before she passed away when I was like 10, 11. She said, I asked her in one of the conversations I remember with her, I was like, what kind of car should I have for my first car, Grandma? And she said, I can see you in a Jeep Wrangler. And that always stuck with me. And I always felt actually kind of like disappointed. I never was able to have my first car be that because it was a Honda Accord that ended up getting stolen at work.
Oh, of course.
I've had
this work?
The downtown Puyallup one.
Oh. Ooh.
On a Friday. I was just at my... Yeah, dude, it was so stupid. Don't get me started. So I got stolen at work. Totally different episode. So I went from that to a really tricked out blue Jetta that had like a body kit and everything. Like the windows were tinted blue, inside was blue and black. It was exactly what you'd expect.
I may recall that.
Probably. Yeah, it was loud and unnecessary.
The Volkswagen. The Volvo.
Yeah, the Volvo, my first one. So then, I went from a Honda to a Volkswagen Jetta to a really mom car. It was a Volvo XC90, but it was like a 2008. Really loved that. I actually feel worse about losing that over my newer one. And then...
Oh, so you have two Volvos?
I had two of the same model, just newer model.
Gotcha.
So then I went up to the 2016 Volvo, which was the highest trim level, totally out of my pay grade. You know, I was not living within my means, having a mortgage and that.
Deep in the kitchen sink, huh?
Dude, yeah. We'll probably cut some of that out. But but there was a dent. I put a dent in my car. I've never dented my car before, ever. Any of my cars. Never. I didn't hit him. No, it was I think it was Thanksgiving night, and I met him at the house to pack a couple things, and we weren't actually too rough with each other, but we were drinking. And just going through like, you know, what stuff are you taking and blah blah blah. I left the driveway, and the driveway is like this, and it's literally this short. Like my car basically just fit on it. Uh-huh. We put the recycle out for some freaking reason behind my car, and I've got alerts all over this baby, right? Like it's just like it screams red. I just blocked it out because I was drinking. I shouldn't have been probably driving. But I rammed into it, put the worst dent in it. He comes out. The whole neighborhood heard it, by the way. Of course. And it's like 9:30 at night. And I think everyone knew we were like getting a divorce because we've been back and forth grabbing shit. And so he comes out just laughing his ass off. And I was like, I dented it so bad. And he's like, that sucks. And then the next day, bright and shiny day, coming out to my car. Boom. Nice dent. So every time I got in my car, I saw that dent, and I was just like, yeah. So I got a Jeep.
I loved it. I saw a thing that you posted where it was like all black, and then you popped your hand out, and then it turned with blue accents on it.
Yeah, dude.
Did you guys do that by yourselves?
I literally did that like within a day of buying it. Like they were, because I bought it, and I bought it on Amazon. All those kits, they're just stickers. I can always take it off.
Oh. That's just stickers?
Just stickers.
Really?
Yeah, no. I did a great...
see after this.
Yeah,
because I really thought it was just hardware that you put in there. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Of course, I had to have my touch on it, like I did with the Volvo. Yeah. I had like grill inserts.
I'm surprised I didn't see any Dory sticker on there.
It's hard not to sticker it up, but I don't really want to sticker up the car
Jeeps
yet.
Are meant to be stickered.
Oh, I know.
Like hell.
I love the Jeep Wave. The Jeep Wave. I'm really good at that because the Volkswagen was the peace sign to anybody, but now it's like just, you know, you have one hand on the wheel and it's just...
Well, it's Jeep. You gotta just throw J.
Jeep. Are you telling me something I actually didn't realize before? Is that really it?
No, I'm just totally making that up.
Because if that is it, though, that's crazy. I've never thought... I never thought of that.
You just started out with a J.
Shit. Wow. Anyway, so I'm like really good at that. It's really cool. There's a whole community about it, and a lot of the groups around here get together. Like there's one coming up at the end of this month. Yeah. It's called Go Topless at the Beach, where people take their tops off their Jeeps. Oh. It's funny because I already joke about it at work. I'm like, I'm going topless this weekend. But it's my Jeep, not me.
Is that coming up?
I'm very modest. Like the 20th, it's at Long Beach, but they have these Long Beach, Washington, like Ocean Shores, but lower.
I don't go anywhere
out.
much.
Yeah, I know. But you went around to the across the whole country, but you don't go anywhere local. Got it. Okay. Well, anyway, there's a place.
I had actual friends to see.
Is that the closest your friends live? Is on the other side of the United States?
Well, so with me and my wife both being online gamers, we have friends all across the world, and so the ones that normally met up together to have just a Memorial weekend hangout, they all live on the East Coast. Every single one of them. I was the only one that lived on the West Coast, and she lived in England, and so we never were able to go to those. And during COVID, they never did any because of obvious reasons. And so I messaged them last year, and I was like, hey, since COVID has kind of just, load down and nobody was really strict about them, are you guys doing a meetup this weekend or Memorial Weekend? They're like, we don't really know. We haven't really talked about it. And then like 2.5 weeks before Memorial Weekend happened, we got invited to a Discord group, and they're like, all right, Memorial Weekend. And I'm like, fuck. Like,
that's coming up, pal.
That's like, we had to start planning right then. Like, we were like, oh crap. Like, I totally forgot 2 months ago I asked you about this. And so my wife, Naomi, and I just started packing everything up. We were like, heck, all right, we need 2 staplers. We don't know why. We just need them. And threw it in the Buick. And just on the 23rd, we had about 5 days to kind of hit Alabama. And that was the meeting point. Was just
Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah.
That's funny.
We definitely didn't play that over and over again in the car.
Who sings it?
Sweet Home Alabama?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is it Leonard Skinner?
Leonard Skinner. Hell yeah. Hey! Good job. You did listen to
it. I probably kept that subconsciously from Naomi because she's probably yelled at me about it before.
Yeah, you can't sing a song like that because you hit those high notes. Like you sing, was it Barracuda or Black Magic Woman?
Black Magic Woman.
By Heart. And you always...
No, Black Velvet.
Black Velvet?
Yeah.
God.
I don't know the artist, but... Oh, I love it.
God, I know. And every time I hear
on the
Heart...
garden wall.
God, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Or just anywhere in the back. I'd hear you and you just...
yeah. I'd sing loud enough for everybody.
I should put that on for us sometime for you to sing for all y'all.
Oh, yeah.
No. Anyway, so
bringing up the song, I wrote a song for my work. So I'll kind of show you here. I don't know if I ever really brought it up to you before.
You wrote a song for your work?
Yes. So I'll play it for you off camera.
What?
Yeah. They don't. I'm not going to share this with them. But so I work for an e-prescribing company.
Yes.
And so this is my rendition of the song "I Will Survive" by Gloria Gaynor, and it's titled "I Will Prescribe."
I cannot wait.
Oh, I will play.
I can already hear it
right here. All right, and I think we're gonna wrap that up for the kitchen sink, our pilot episode. We did it. Woo!
That's where we're stopping.
I think so. Did you have anything else to talk about?
No, it's just that's where we're just abruptly stopping right there.
Absolutely.
What?
Because that'll bring them in for the next episode.
Okay.
Listen or watch our next episode. And we'll have to re-listen to this to see what we say we put on the next episode.
Oh, we're cutting a bunch of shit out.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No filter. Take yours off.
No, because then you can hear all my...
Take your... You had it. Just add that in there. All right, yeah. I think we could just save some stuff up for the next episode. Thank you guys for listening in to The Kitchen Sink with Taylor and John, and you'll hear us on the next one.